So now let's go for checking how we can create NWD. We told you that if we want to turn, for example, this file to a unique file or one file to be sent to different people that it doesn't have any kind of relationship with the native files, we can publish it with NWD file. That you can go in application menu, publish. Actually, in here you can have access to them to this window. Or for example, from this part output NWD that you will face a kind of window like this. In this window we have a kind of list in here. That from here title we can just actually set a name for title of this file in here. For example, it could be every name that you like. It doesn't need that it is exactly the name for the file. For example, we can name it project 007 dash, for example, I don't know, version, for example, 1. And here we have subject, that it is the main goal of this file. For example, I can just type architecture, structure, mechanical, electrical, for example, coordination model. Yeah, includes these files. Or for example, here even we can write coordination model, just so version 1, or any kind of name that you want, you can just set it for it. And the next part actually is other, the name of the person or team that has created or have created this file. As an example, XYZ. Yes, or maybe it's the name of a person, Ariani, for example, BIM manager, like this. Or for example, your coordinator or BIM coordinator, you can write it. You can just set it in here. We have publisher in the next item. You can write the name of the organization or company. For example, Autodesk. So you will write the name of the organization or company that you're working. It could be everything. It could be, for example, even the name of the team. You can write it in here. Published for who you're going to just do it. Yes, you will just write the name, like for example XYZ company. Yes, and the next one is called copyright. It's you're familiar with copyright. You can just I don't know, you can have a kind of symbol of copyright. You can write the name of that nobody can just copy your work. The next one is keywords. You can just set some keywords for it. That, as an example, we were talking about coordination. For example, we created that. You can just have keywords like BIM, I don't know, coordination and clash detections actually, or for example, project 007. These keywords actually could be set in here. Let me just consider it 007, that we have enough space. Here we can have the next one. We can have comments. As an example, we can just I don't know, type or write, for example, initial version for example, final review. It is the first version for final checking, for example. So you can have comments with any kind of language, you can do it. So the next one is password, that it will give you this possibility to set a password for your file. As an example, 1, 2, 3. You have to be careful that if the password is forgot, you cannot just return it. You cannot actually you cannot recover it. So the next one is display add password. Let's activate it. And it means if that person, or for example here published for, because we are just publishing and sending for this company, if it wants to open the file, this window will be opened for it, that it can read the information here, and then it will just set the password and sign the password for it. So we will activate it. And the next one is expires. It's really interesting actually feature for it if you want to publish it. If you just inactivate it, it doesn't have any kind of expiration date, and any users or any companies can use, for example, this file. If we set the kind expires and we set the time for it, for example, here, let me set it, for example, on, for example, second. And the benefit of the expiration actually is, for example, you can get sure that the companies that are going to just get the file from you, they will have access to the last file. You know, some people might think, for example, expiration, they might be, for example, the file is expired for every reason, it is not usable again. But the main goal of expiration, actually, or expires, is that you get sure that, for example, the company that you're working with and you send the file to them, always they have access to the last file. Yes, in the processing of the BIM work, for example, BP file or document, actually you will have a kind of cycle of work, for example, weekly, every 15 days, monthly, that generally it will be by a week. That, for example, you're sure that, for example, the last file is sent to the contractor, that we get sure that the contractor will open the last file. So because of that, we will have a kind of expiration date for the contractor, that the contractor or that company mistakenly or unintentionally they don't open, for example, the other files, and they don't think that, for example, we didn't have any kind of changing. So expiration date is for this, that contractor will have access to the last file that you're sending to. If they want to open the last file, they've got expired based on or under the condition that, for example, you set the expiration date exactly before the new file you're going to send. For example, if I'm going to send the file for 10 days later, so I will set the expiration date for 10 days later, and if I send the file for example, next 11 days, the last file won't work. So this is really interesting. So the next one is maybe resaved. So actually this file causes that you actually don't have, you can define the limitation for republishing the format of NWD in here. It means if we send the file and we have some changings on it, if I don't activate, for example, this item, it will just save NWF file. And I mean, for example, Navisworks file. But if I activate, for example, this file, we allow it that if it wants to have any changings on the file, again, it will publish by format of NWD. So we can just inactivate this limitation, or for example, we have this limitation. So if we inactivate it, we have the limit, we have assigned the limitation. The next one is display on open. If you click on it, it means that when the NWD file wants to be opened, does it, for example, show this window publish or not? That, for example, when we set the password, for sure we will just set this tick that it happens for it. So the next one is embed actual recap and texture data. It's really important file. So actually, if you have some files by format of recap or texture for materials they have got used in your file and the reference, for example, if it tells you if you want to produce a file by NWD format, it tells you that, for example, do you want to have a folder for example, the main files? Yes, when you want to publish this file, do you have some folders next to them or not? You can just activate it that those files are next to, for example, NWD file they are produced. Actually, the next one, the next part, we have embed database properties. It means that if you're just using the Navisworks database, of course, I don't close it to show you to you. You know, in home tab, we have a part in the database. I will, after publishing, I will show it to you. So if you activate it, for example, all of the features and information that they have been published by database tool, they will be saved by default next to the main file, and you can have access to them. If not, they are not embedded. And the last part actually here is prevent object property export. Is preventing actually exporting the information or features of the elements. It means that if you don't want actually those properties of the elements that they have been imported from the native file into here, you don't want to have them, for example, by NWD file, for example. So you can activate it. It will just take care of the property of view about these elements. After these ones, you will click on OK. So it will tell you to repeat the password 1, 2, 3, and let's click on OK, and we will just set a path for it. And let me create a kind of folder here, NWD. I will go through this folder. Let's set a name for it as an example. New coordination model version 1, and save it. So this is the NWD file that is being produced. So let's return to the file NWD. If you pay attention carefully, actually it is existing here. So let's open this file and we'll send this file to that person. So it might be by Navis Work Manage for them. It will be opened. Yes. So let's go and open. Let me save it. Open. I will go to this path and let's just set the format on NWD, select and open. So you see this window is opened. You have the information here. Also the password will be assigned to here because we have display for password. Of course, we have the information here, display and open. So open. You see this file has got opened for me like this. Let me go back to the items and we click on them. You will see the complete information, in a way that if I open the main file in here, actually in here. So let me just select it, properties window. We will have the complete information here. The reason is during the publishing, we just activated this item. The next point, actually, the item of data tools that I told you, the time that we don't want to have export or we want to have export about that, we can just use this from publish. It is embed database properties is related to that, and the properties item is for this one. And by this way, you can actually publish your project by format of NWD. That actually it is really important processing of the work that each BIM coordinator, BIM manager, or BIM modelers should be concentrated and focused on this.